Ultra-processed foods are everywhere. Our health is suffering. The good news is we can change this, starting with what we put on our plates. My sponsor, Zoe, will show you how. If Zoe sounds familiar, you might be one of the millions of people listening to their podcast, Zoe, Science and Nutrition, or have seen their research findings on the news. Zoe is a science and nutrition company, and a Zoe membership provides a personalized nutrition program to help you understand the best foods for you, because the answer is different for everyone. In 2022, Zoe ran a randomized controlled trial, the gold standard of scientific research, to put their membership program to the test. After 18 weeks, Zoe members who participated in the study saw positive changes in their gut microbiome and waist circumference. They were twice as likely to report improved mood and reduced hunger, and 4 times more likely to report better sleep and more energy. Zoe membership can guide you step by step towards better health for life. So will you give Zoe a try? Go to zoe.com and take the free quiz to find out how Zoe membership can help you make smarter food choices. Listeners to this podcast can use the code STYLE10 to get 10% off your membership. Once again, that's zoe.com, ZOE.com, and use code STYLE10 at checkout.
Today, I'm going on a style journey with the powerhouse that is the award-winning comedian, writer, presenter, and actor, Katherine Ryan. Hello and welcome, Kathryn.
Thank you so much. I like to introduce myself when I'm doing my own bio as terrible actress. You know, comedian, presenter, writer, and terrible actress.
You're not a terrible actress. Where does that come from?
I'm pretty bad, and I wear that as a badge of honor because I think it just means I'm not a good liar. And I want to be authentic. I think actors freak me out. I know you've met a lot.
Do you know what? They do slightly... I'd hate to be in a relationship with an actor. Because I'd never know what the truth is.
A good actor can have you fooled.
Yeah. Yep. So you're a bad actor.
Terrible actor.
Totally authentic. Now, you've currently got Battle Axe on your new show. And actually, which I haven't seen, but I'm hoping to bring my mother to, because I noticed you've got some northern dates.
Yeah.
But I'd love to understand the creative process of putting together a show like that.
I mean, my creative process has shifted all through my life. When I was single and young and poor, I used to walk everywhere, and that was great for writing stand-up. I would just observe things. I had loads of free time. I would jot notes down in my phone as I was walking and then transfer those to paper, and I would write it down really satisfyingly with a pen. You know, I really miss pens and pencils. I like writing with stationery. And then when I came to this country, all of a sudden, it started to get busy for me quite quickly. And then I was writing for different things, so a sitcom or panel shows or a stand-up tour. And all of those things would just, it was a little bit overwhelming, but I felt still like I prioritized them and I had clarity and I could do it. And then I had my smaller babies very recently, right after lockdown and COVID. I think a lot of people felt uninspired after that time and a little bit gaslit by what we were being told and what we were not being told. And I just didn't think anything was funny for a while. And I had no free time all of a sudden. I was like Joe Biden, just walking into a room like, huh? Putin? I didn't know where I was, who I was. And also, for years, I had emboldened feminists to say, you don't have to fit into the traditional shape of a family. I really advocated being single. And here I was on the brink of writing a new tour with a new baby and a new husband, fresh out of lockdown, 3 stone heavier. And I went, who am I? So that tour, I actually wrote that on the road.
So you added in...
Yeah, I started the tour with notes on the stage and I just spoke almost like a podcast without punchlines. Well, wow, I sort of was robbing a living.
Brave.
Well, I think audiences were really generous because they were adjusting to being out in public again as well. And loads of the audience were still wearing masks and they hadn't been anywhere for a long time. So they were gentle and patient with me. And then for this tour, I had yet another baby, but I've really prioritized the creative process, writing it, understanding how to slag my husband off without really slagging him off, how to talk about my children and my teenager especially and have the right boundaries, how to retain my authentic voice. And so now I'm going out to the clubs like a few nights a week, I'm in the little dingy pubs and open mic nights. I'm doing it the way you're meant to do it this time.
And so then you build up your material
Yeah.
during that process. How do you get that balance with your husband Bobby? Because I mean, comedy is about, in my view, is about observations of life a lot of the time. How do you get that balance?
Well, I think, and also connecting with an audience. So I think I relieve a lot of stress from wives and mothers who carry a lot of the emotional and mental load. I still think that the childcare certainly is disproportionately still considered women's work. Even if you are the breadwinner wife, which I am, I still find myself, I say, like, I thought I was going to be the kid's dad, but I'm their mom. Actually, I'm their grandma because I'm old and I'm loads of fun. I
You let them get away with murder.
Yeah. I'm like, let's do whatever we want. I'm the grandma. But I think I run things past him, and I instinctively know the difference between what's a joke. You know, Jimmy Carr did it to me for a number of years. He'd roast me about this and about that, and I never felt offended by it because I have humility and a sense of humor myself. And I think Bobby's the same. If it were coming from a place of genuine vitriol, I think we would
then
both.
it's a different thing.
I could go up there and say some really ugly things about my husband, but I don't. I keep it nice because I love him. But I will say that he golfs too much, and I say there's no one else I'd rather be with, which is disappointing because I deserve better. I have a type. It's not good enough for me. You know, just gentle.
I love it.
Gentle stuff.
How did you come up with the name Battle Axe?
Well, I've always really admired and been drawn to older women, from B. Arthur and Betty White, Joan Rivers and Cher now. Like, I think that they are their most authentic. They've usually had a few husbands. They've made some mistakes. They've built up careers. The type of women that I really love. Celine Dion, Shania Twain, though she's not much older than I am. But, you know, these women who talk so authentically and give full disclosure about their lives, their trials and tribulations. I love them. And I think older women especially get painted with disparaging adjectives and words, and you could call someone a spinster. And Battle Axe was one of my favorite ones, which has history in this woman who, I forget what she did. She had an actual axe, and she just stood up for something I forget. I should know since it's the name of my show. But now it's used just to describe an opinionated older woman, and it's a negative term. So I like to turn negatives into positives. And I think to be a battle axe is a wonderful thing.
I love that because my late father used to refer to his mother as the battle axe. And it was, I mean, he didn't use any other word for her other than the battle axe.
Did he mean it in a nice way?
No, it was a bit pejorative.
Fine.
I mean, you are super busy at the moment. So you've got the show. What else are you working on at the moment that you're really enjoying?
I'm doing a few new panel show type formats on television. Some we're talking about, some we're not. There's one that just came out very recently on which is like UK TV. They have a new streaming service. Sorry, I touched the microphone.
It's all right.
Which is
You
UK.
can touch the microphone.
Yeah. No, Leo doesn't like it. UK TV have a new streaming service, Ustream, and it's streaming on there now, or you can watch it on UK TV, called Battle in a Box. And that was really fun to film. It's presented by Jimmy Carr, who I love.
He's brilliant.
He's so funny all the time, and he locks comedians into a small box for 22 hours. And we have to do different challenges inside the box. And depending on how well or poorly we do, the box can get slightly bigger or smaller. And I think the intention with the show was that everyone would have a mental breakdown. But I really loved it. I thought it was relaxing. And
Was it a glass box?
Yep.
Oh my God.
I kept sleeping on the floor. They had to wake me up all the time.
And where do you go to the loo?
There's a little loo behind a locked door, so that's not in the film. But I only weed once.
In 20 hours?
Yeah, 22 hours.
22
I'm
hours.
really good at not weeing. I think because I'm so busy and my children are so small, my kidneys have sympathetically shut down just to be like, you don't have time for this. And I don't like to wee in public either. I had a wee when I came here because I'd had a load of water before I came. It's hot. But you have a beautiful bathroom, and I had to check it out.
Thank you.
Public washrooms, forget it. I used to have a joke about the whole trans issue, which is a spicy subject. I would say, I don't want to share a washroom with a man, and I don't want to share a washroom with a woman, and I don't want to share a washroom with a child or anyone in my own family. Like, I think everyone should have equal access to public toilets. None. I don't want to share. I don't share a toilet with anyone, even in my own home. And then a public loo. You want me to go to the toilet at the mall? I won't do it.
Right.
Everyone needs to go to the toilet in their own home.
On that positive note, today we're going on a style journey.
Yes.
So talk to me about what you're wearing.
You know what? I dreaded this question because I knew that I was coming here to do Style DNA, and I know what a stylish, wonderful designer you are. And I've worn your designs and loved them. Yes, I have. But in my real life, I look like shit.
No, you don't.
I do, because I have a stylist and I have a very manicured, I think, intentional look on stage. I think it's polite and aspirational to be really glamorous. And again, it's always been a nod to those older glamorous women. I like embellishments. I like sparkle, and I love makeup and hair and heels on stage. Because for a long time, female comedians were told not to look that way, that it would be distracting. But in my real life now, I'm wearing a Ray blouse, like a little tank top, tucked into some cocky, high-waisted trousers that I got from somewhere years ago. They might be an OK brand. They might be Paige or J brand or something. And a Mage belt. And I wore just some little Gucci sliders today. And then I realized that I'm 41 and I had my arms out and that it's breezy sometimes. So I nipped into Zara on the way here and got a little cream cardigan.
Uh-huh.
And I tell you, I don't love high street. I try not to wear too much high street. But every once in a while, you go in there for something simple.
It's a little treat.
And it's a little treat, yeah.
A little inexpensive treat.
Yes. And I wish I dressed better. You know, that's something I want to work on in my day-to-day life is this is the best, really, that I ever look for free.
Oh, I was going to ask, because you have your uber glam stage look, which I always think is beautiful and polished and very feminine and sexy.
Thank you.
And then you've got your podcast, which you do from home, telling everybody everything, which I love. I think it's hysterical. But that is you. Is that you at home and just thinking, okay, I'm gonna hit the mic?
Yes, because if I didn't do it that way, it would never happen. I think a lot of people in my industry are being late diagnosed with neurodiversity and ADD and autism. And I don't think I have any of that. But if I try to organize myself, it doesn't happen. I just have almost all of that. I'm like, if I have everything set up in my own little podcast studio, if HMRC are asking, but really it's my husband's gym. I do record in there, and then I just don't have hair and makeup. I wear a tracksuit most of the time. I'm dressed like an elderly rapper. I have like a Tupac t-shirt on and filthy track pants from doing the kids' breakfast. I just get out and do it, and I don't have guests often, and it's just me and a microphone and what I've done that week. And not a lot of podcasts are that way, but I'm finding that the listeners I have feel that they have a friend in the garden or on a walk, or just a friend who the relationship's really one-sided. I do a lot of the talking for an hour straight. Just my little musings, yeah.
But I love that. I love the fact that it's you in your home environment and just super laid back and chilled.
Well, like you in your home environment, except it's very beautiful and glamorous.
Well, we've got a very special view, but
you do.
The rest is sort of owned by the dog.
Fine. Well, it's intimate, a podcast, isn't it? It's right between your ears. And I think it's nice to invite people into your space.
Do you know what? When I started this podcast, I felt really strongly about doing it at home because I wanted people to come in and feel like they were in my living room and relaxed, and there wasn't some sound studio. You do get the occasional helicopter overhead, but hey ho, we deal with it.
Of course, a military helicopter around here probably.
No,
taking some important person.
We've got all sorts. Yeah. But you grew up in Sarnia, Canada. Was that a style mecca?
Oh yes, it was. We had low-rise denim, very low, as low as you can go. Belly chains, bad fake tan. Crop tops. It was in full high street 90s glam. And we didn't have designers. We didn't have access to any designers at all because back then you couldn't buy anything online and we were 3 hours from the nearest city that would have had.
So what were you buying back then?
Oh my gosh, things that don't exist now. There was a little high street shop called Le Chateau, which is French, of course, for castle.
Of course.
Garage. Garage. My daughter is in Canada right now, my British daughter, and she was with her cousin. She's like, "Are we going to garage?" And they were like, "What did you say?" It's garage. They're mostly Le Chateau was the one, but we didn't even have H&M back then. It was these strange little shops. And then I actually was a little bit of a designer when I was young because I always wanted to be different, which I was blessed for, because I think when you're a teenager, the best thing that you can be is ordinary, and you want to fit in, and you don't want to be above or below this parapet, because if you stand out, then you're vulnerable to be attacked.
And did you consciously think about that?
Yes. I knew, well, for a while I wanted to fit in, but then I knew that I was a little alternative and I wanted to be pretty and I wanted to fit into the Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears aesthetic at the time. But it mattered to me that I had different clothes to everyone else. And so my mother taught me to sew.
Brilliant. Was she uber glam?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And again, no access to designer brands.
And did she sew then?
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think women of that era certainly sewed their own clothes. What else were they going to do? If you're a 14-year-old girl and you've got Barbies in the 60s, you're going to sew outfits for them. So it starts with that. I think my mom's nanny had these very special Barbie dolls and would make clothes for them, make doll clothes, make clothes for the children. And that carried on. I guess I'm the woman in my family who stopped that tradition because I've taught none of my kids to sew and I've stopped sewing myself.
Do you remember the first outfit that you made?
Well, the first thing I would do before I understood the intricacies, the first thing that I made before I understood the intricacies of the sewing machine, I would use fabric paints. So I painted New Kids on the Block. Are you familiar with American Westlife of its time? Yeah. I painted New Kids on the Block with my mother's help in fabric paints on this shirt. And I wore it when I was 9 years old to Detroit to a New Kids on the Block concert.
Oh my God.
And then my favorite one, the one I thought I was going to marry, Joey McIntyre, he'd had an asthma attack, so he wasn't there. But
and so we couldn't even see you in your fabulous New Kids on the Block.
And it was beautiful and it was bespoke. Bespoke mattered to me. And I had suspenders, neon suspenders, and a 3-tier little neon skirt.
Rah-rah.
And tights. Yeah, rah-rah skirt. I was always into it. And my mother always looked glamorous. And it was a real old Hollywood glamour thing. Like my grandma had red leather gloves and wore fur, and they were all about a cinched waist. It was almost toxic the way my grandmother, when my mom was small, would tie a string around her waist really tight to remind her to always hold her tummy in. And posture mattered and heels mattered. And yeah.
I mean, you were the oldest of 3 sisters. Did your style rub off on each other?
We all had our own unique style, really. So I'm the oldest. My first younger sister, the middle one, she's very conservatively dressed now. But when she was younger, she got a figure first. And I think she wanted to look sexy. I remember her being sent home from school a few times because we didn't have uniforms.
I was going to ask you, did you have school uniforms?
No, we didn't. So she had like little crop tops and low cut. She was all about
the bosoms out,
midriff and cleavage. And in the 7th grade at school, I mean, you're going to be sent home. But she didn't make any of her own outfits. And then I went into sexy skater for a while. So I had big baggy pants, trainers, always little tops though, but I was blessed with, like, I was always little on the top. And so I went through different style evolutions, but I always tried to have my midriff out because, again, that was the brief of the early noughties. I mean, 2000, noughties. And then my baby sister was the style icon. She would sit naked in a Pretty Pretty Princess box, which was a board game that we had where you would roll a dice and move around a board and win pieces of jewelry, rings and big, costume necklaces. And if you got all of the jewelry and successfully went around the board, you'd get a crown and you'd be the Pretty Pretty Princess. Well, Carrie, from the age of 2 or 3, was too young to play the game, but she would just sit naked in the box and wear all of the jewelry. And she always had a headdress of some kind. So she would make crowns or just put anything she could on her head, any hat or bow or ribbon. And then she wore costume princess dresses, always.
I read somewhere that you said it was just really normal, even in my high school, for the girls to be given a choice. Age 16, do you want a car or a nose job?
Yeah.
And was that the case?
Not for me, unfortunately.
I was going to say, which did you choose?
Yeah. My mother did have a conversation with us about falling in love with my dad. despite his physical flaws. She went, he's really funny and I really loved him. And I could see that his chin was not ideal and that if any of you girls got his nose, that I would have to pay to change that. Just a very frank conversation. When we were 10, I was very young and she just said, you don't have his nose though. But I had put aside a fund thinking when you're old enough, if you had your father's nose, every pregnancy, I thought, we'll just have to pay to change it.
But when you worked at Hooters, which was when you were at uni in Toronto, was that pre or post-surgery?
It was pre and post.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I had enough self-awareness to say, well, I know how this will look. I don't really want to be a Hooters girl with breast implants. I want to be a Hooters girl because it's fun and it's like cheerleading and it's teaching me to be the right kind of woman, just a subservient, gentle, really easy, happy woman. Because I never was that. I was always a little bit spicy and it got me into trouble a few times. And it certainly, it was met with faces of contortion and confusion. I didn't like that. I wanted to be a good girl. And I thought Hooters would teach me that. It didn't. It just really fueled who I am today.
I was going to say, what did it teach you?
Oh, it was amazing. It turned out to be this rich matriarchy of like-minded young women who had come individually from their own small towns to the big city. And they were going to uni, all of us. They were independent enough that they weren't the girls whose parents were paying for their uni. They needed to work as well. And they were a little bit show business. Because there's something quite satirical and funny, and there's a lot of showmanship about Hooters.
A lot.
And the ones who thought it was about being pretty were turned away after about a week. They couldn't handle it because it is busy and it's hard work, and they weren't collaborative, so they just didn't hack it. You did have to, surprise, have a personality to do well at Hooters.
And I bet the more of a personality you were, the bigger the tips were, probably.
I was sometimes making $1,000 a day and keeping all my clothes on. People in this country think Hooters is
No, because tell me the uniform, the Hooters uniform.
So in 1983, there were these business guys who started Hooters, and one of them had a secretary who used to run on her lunch break in slouchy socks and little orange running shorts and a white vest. And he just thought that her look was so natural and sexy and she was tan. And he said that will be the uniform. So it's meant to be sporty, but it's just a white vest with an owl on it and the iconic Hooters logo with the big O's and the orange shorts. And we wore thick stockings like tights.
Did you?
So it wasn't really your legs out or your bum, but you felt like a
nude
dancer.
Tights?
They were tan. Oh. If they'd been nude on me, like I'm ham
Proper
colored.
American tan, as they call it.
Yes, you were encouraged to be American tan.
As a performing artist, your image or what you choose to wear would be considered part of your performance. Mm-hmm. Do you view it like that?
Definitely. It matters so much. Only last night I was doing a corporate gig where I was encouraged to wear colors that went along with the branding of the company. And I had this beautiful Celia B. Are you familiar with her? Mm-hmm. Just fun, big puff sleeve dress that looks very Spanish, and it's blue and it's got loads of color. So I wore it to the corporate. And then I got a call from a comedy club saying, oh, this comedian's sick. Can you come? And doing stand-up in that dress was not conducive to the gig. It didn't work. And I know that the dress was distracting. The whole package matters so much. And I think it's okay to look glamorous and it's great. But if you're in sort of a dingy basement comedy club and everyone's in jeans and sweats or tank tops and they're on a night out and it's dark and you're in sort of a holiday dress, just doesn't go. Or maybe they were reading something in me because I didn't feel confident in the dress.
I was going to say, it's a bit chicken and egg, isn't it? Was it the dress that made you feel sort of inappropriate in that space?
Yeah.
And did that affect your performance?
Maybe, Amanda, because it absolutely was not appropriate for the gig. And I knew it. And I felt like I was apologizing for the dress all along. And I was explaining, oh, I've come from somewhere else. You never want to start a gig by apologizing.
You've written your own show. So you know how you want to feel.
Yeah.
So how do you go about working out what you're wearing?
It's funny that you say that because I use my stylist, who's Jennifer Mahalski-Bray. We've worked together for a decade.
Who's gorgeous.
She's great.
Yeah.
And I work with her for television and for all kinds of live events. But for my stand-up tour, I'm such a control freak about it. And of course, I perform it alone and I write it alone. And I have to pick the outfit myself.
And so how do you go about that?
For my last show, Mrs., that is streaming on Sky and Now TV, I knew that I was pregnant, and then I had my baby. I was trying to decide what size I would be. And then by the end of the tour, I was pregnant again with my second. So I chose this Gucci Grecian dress that I just felt, the show Mrs. was about this change of life and me getting married. So it sort of was like Statue of Liberty in drag. And I showed it to my daughter and she went, "You can't wear that. You look like the Statue of Liberty in drag." And I went, perfect. That's the look I'm going for. My tour before that was called Glitter Room, and that's streaming on Netflix. And the blouse for that is Gucci. Again, I saw Heidi Klum wearing it on America's Got Talent. And the way that it's embellished, it's sequins on a stage will blind some of the audience members depending on how you move. But it's all got these little rhinestones all over it, almost dull matte rhinestones. But when it moves, seeing it on Heidi Klum, it just looked so special. And it really is such a special blouse. I thought that. And then this tour, I really like embellished denim. It's like a bit of a cooler look, less glamorous, but still glamorous.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to go like high-waisted jeans that have like diamonds and rhinestones all over them. A heel, always a heel. And then I'm just deciding on the top, but I just get this innate like feel for what I'm going to be comfortable in, but I don't feel that it's going to be a dress for Battle Axe.
Do you always wear a heel?
Yes.
Do you feel you move differently in a heel?
Maybe. It would have to be a comfort. Like, I do not like Louboutins. I am a Louboutin hater.
So what's your favorite
I can't do
heel,
6
then?
inches. There are a few brands that I really like.
Are you a platform girl?
Sometimes, but not for my stand-up. I
Really?
think well, I have worn platforms for stand-up. I like Rupert Sanderson heels. I like Aquazzura heels. I love Giovanni Rossi.
Yep.
Those
Gianvito Rossi.
Giovanito Rossi.
Yeah.
Those are so comfortable.
Yep, they are, aren't they?
And I think even accidentally I've worn him for a few shows.
Now, you wrote and starred in the Netflix drama The Duchess, and which was loosely based on your life.
Loosely.
Were you very involved in the costumes? Were they your clothes?
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a controversy, The Duchess. And I don't think I'm out of line or revealing too much saying this. I've worked with Jen for a decade. I've worked with Fiona, my hair and makeup artist, for a decade. And they are so the top of their field, proficient. Jen worked on Gossip Girl. But these are women who don't frequently work in wardrobe on sitcoms or on dramas. And I think in that creative industry, there seems to be a divide between like, okay, these women do comedy entertainment panel shows or they do styling in real life. And these designers do like costume design. It's a different craft. And I appreciate that. But because I was an executive producer, because it was my baby, because it was my loosely based on my life story, I had this vision. I really wanted Jen and Fiona to do the costume design and the makeup and hair design. And they said they couldn't. And I just found that really strange because I know that I work with Ramesh on his sitcom and he got to choose who did that. And I think Jack Whitehall, if he had said, I want my guy to do it, I think that would have been
And
fine.
what was their reasoning?
They just said they're not experienced enough. They can't do it. And I thought, oh, well, also I think I am better with my team. But for some reason I felt quite separated from my team. And then they said, all right, so we tried different angles to work this out. And they were very amenable. In the end, they said, all right, Jen can style just you. And Fiona can do just your hair and makeup. But we still need someone getting the costume design credit and someone getting the hair and makeup design credit. And they'll like oversee everything and do everything else. So then Jen had to like trot out all these outfits and get approval from someone who didn't really know our vibe and didn't really know what our voice was. And that caused a little bit of, I didn't like it. I just felt like it wasn't as warm as I'd hoped. And in the end, everyone got along. But every outfit in the Duchess that I'm wearing is, it's a lot of people's favorite part of the show. I think it, like Sex and the City, it is its own character. It tells a story. She did such a great job, and she doesn't even get a costume designer credit.
Oh, no.
And she got paid like an assistant on that job. And it really, it still puts like a bad taste in my mouth, unfortunately, because I wanted them alongside me to do that. And I
Yeah.
felt like it was quite difficult.
I get that because it was such a personal
It was personal.
story.
Yeah. In the end, it was fine, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted.
Let's talk about hair, makeup, and manicures and tweakments.
Tweakments I love, although I've stepped away from those, but I hope to get back into the game. Ask away.
Would you consider yourself to be high maintenance?
No.
No,
I wish I was.
because you've got this amazing skin.
That's so nice of you to say.
But are you super, good at looking after it? And
I don't know if I am.
Must be.
Well, I work a lot with Dr. Nina Ball, who's a friend of mine, and she has a clinic on Old Brompton Road, facial sculpting, Dr. Nina. And we used to do fillers when I was young, and we've done aqua gold facials, and we've done Lutronic laser, and we've done some Botox, though never as much as people think, because I think I joke about it. I lean in. I was one of the first people who'd be like, I get filler, I have breast implants, I have Botox, when a lot of British women weren't talking like that.
well, when you do lean into it, it reminds me of Joan Rivers.
It's fun, yeah.
I mean, it's just, how she would laugh about the facelift and her nose being on the back of her head or whatever it was, that joke that she used to trot out again and again. But I love the fact that you're very open.
Of course I am. And that's when I was really confused when I got pregnant with Fred and I had to take steroids. So I gained loads of weight, but all in my neck, strangely. Yeah, because I took steroids and it just makes you gain weight in a strange way. Like I was flying economy to Aberdeen. I just had this like ring of like, good night.
You didn't need a cushion with you.
Yeah, it was so weird. And I looked so different. And I had the audacity to continue to go out in public and to film and to do stand-up. And loads of people on social media were like, oh, she's done too much filler or she's really ruined her face. Kind of the way people speak about, I mean, I don't think I'm out of turn saying Simon Cowell sometimes, or even David Beckham now, or Zac Efron. People are starting to talk about men and filler.
Yeah.
And I think, who knows who's done what? Sometimes you just gain weight or you age and it looks like they'll take a photo of you from 20 years ago and go, oh, look what she's done. I'll tell you what I've done is I've lived a hard life for the last 20 years and raised 3 children. Like I look different.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing anything at that time. And obviously Nina is such a professional. I couldn't do anything when I was pregnant or breastfeeding. Yep. And now on the other side of 40, well, I've always had almost a pathological sun avoidance. So that helps with my skin.
Clever you.
I've never, it's always been fake tan. But I think fillers at my age with my anatomy, if I had like a strong Kylie Jenner jawline, it might be different, but I don't. And I think fillers, I don't think I can hold them up. And I think past a certain point, they start to work against you.
Yeah.
For my anatomy. So now I'm really interested in a little bit of Botox here and there. Not too much with babies because babies need you to move your face.
But also, doesn't your audience need you to move your face a bit?
No. They like the Botox, I think. I'm robbing them of an experience because now I can't really do the jokes about Botox because I can move my face.
Not that much.
No, I can't. Well, I need to see Nina again. I only do it maybe once every 8 months, 10 months.
Let's move on to you lobbed off your hair.
I did.
Because you did. You had long, luscious locks. You've got shorter, luscious locks. What was the catalyst to make you do that?
It was an outfit.
Really?
Yeah. So who makes this?
Because I keep seeing people with lobs and thinking, oh, maybe
you
I
would
need to
look
do it.
Great with a lob.
Maybe I just need to do it.
It's very chic. It's very French. I think it's fun. Of course, you're known for your really long blonde hair, but I think so was I. And I wanted to wear to the National Television Awards this very low cut black gown, like deep plunging neckline. And it had shoulder pads. I cannot remember who made it.
But somehow with all of that, then all of this in terms of a lot of hair is just all too much.
It was too much. And I just had this vision. It was more about the breasts, to be honest with you. I think I just said to myself, and I was still breastfeeding, and I said, if I'm going to get my boobs out this much, I need to chic it up a bit. And I wanted to wear the dress. It started with the dress. And then I went to my friend Sam Burnett at Hair and Bone and I said, chop it all off. And it really worked. I think that with long, over-processed blonde hair that I had at the time, a bit scraggly, it's never been thick enough to look chic. I think that dress would have looked cheap. But with this really angular French bob that he did, it made the whole outfit come together.
Did you ask Bobby about it before you did it?
No.
How did he react to it?
He loved it. I think that Bobby really is so amenable to whatever I want to do. He's really just the best husband to have. He has no judgments about anything, although it's growing out just a bit. And I said, I think I'm going to cut it really short again. And he went, no, leave it.
You see, I know if I went off and lobbed my hair off, I'd have one very disappointed partner.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's my age.
Well, it's good that he, obviously he fancies you. He knows what he likes. But I think there are men, including my husband, who have some like traditional ideas of like what they find sexy, what they think a woman, and it can be a bit masculine to go and chop all your hair and be short, and they might not like it, but no, Bobby was cool. Bobby loved it. And I have a really long face. You don't. You have a beautifully proportioned face, so you can do the long
That
hair.
is the first place I show my weight. It just goes straight on my cheeks.
Oh, good. So then you'll be young forever. Try it in the neck like I did. Not recommended.
Now, you've got your teenage daughter, Violet.
Yeah.
Does she have strong opinions on what you wear?
Yes. And the joke about Violet is she leaves my house dressed like a waitress on Epstein Island. So she's in no position to judge. Violet does exactly what I did at her age, which is like get really excited about all of a sudden having a figure and try to get all the bits out at once.
And do you try and control that at all, or do you just let her get on with it?
I do try to control it. I let Violet shop the way she wants to shop. We do talk a lot about sustainability, and it's understandable that, especially with a social media culture, girls think they need these disposable outfits and they need to change them every day. We talk about investment pieces. We talk about designers. I buy her beautiful things that she can keep for a long time, but she and I are not on the same style page. And I think it's more about situational fashion. So if it's the summertime and she's going to the marina in Sarnia on a boat with her girlfriends, she can wear the super short shorts, midriff out, low cut, necklaces, friendship bracelets, feathers in the hair, festival, fine. But she can't go walking on the high street at 5 p.m. like that in November.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, Lisa Macaro, she does embroidery on jumpers, and she puts a lot of really cool feminist slogans on there, whatever you want, really, a lot of political messaging. It's cool. But I reached out to her and I said, can you please make me a jumper that says it's summertime, baby girl, for my daughter, because she was leaving the house dressed in some tiny dress. And it's so sweet because the girls, when they go to parties now, they wear Air Force Ones or they wear big trainers and then these tiny little mini skirt dresses. And Bobby's like, it looks, like they're going to the club, but they're ready for a game of five-a-side. Like at any time, they just have this mixed look. But she was coming down the stairs dressed in almost nothing. And I said, what are you wearing? And she said, it's summertime, baby girl. And it was February.
I love it.
Well, it's not summertime, it's February. So we made this jumper, and so we have a nice little fashion joke between us.
What about makeup?
She's all right with makeup. The girls are a lot better than I was at 15 because they've got lessons on TikTok.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
But is she into a thick eyeliner?
No. She does have a bit of eyebrow blindness. We've had some discussions about how many a woman my age ruined her face by overplucking eyebrows.
Oh, yes.
She shaved a couple of stripes in her eyebrow one day.
My God.
I don't even know what that's called, but my husband responded by doing the same.
Great.
Yeah.
So 2 children in the house.
Yeah. Well, I liked what he did because he went, you look ridiculous, see? And he did it to himself. And she was like, oh my God, you can't have those eyebrows. That's so disgusting, so ridiculous. And he's like, well, now you know how you look. So if you want to shave your eyebrows again, go ahead, do a couple little stripes, and you'll come down and you'll see the same. You get a tattoo, I'm getting the same tattoo. You pierce your belly button, I'm getting a belly button piercing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is a great way to parent.
Bobby's going to be looking like a slag by the end of the summer.
And her opinions on you and how you dress and your hair and makeup.
I mean, the girl's not blind, is she? She's got to know deep down that I'm cool. She's got to know, but she hides it well. She certainly does not want me to ever show my body because that's cringe.
Coming back to style and clothing, when do you feel you really discovered your style DNA?
Well, I thought I always looked really cool and dressed with intention. And early days of stand-up, I liked to wear black blouses and shirts with colorful leggings and boots because I felt very grounded by the Doc Marten boots. And I thought my look was not jeans and a hoodie, but it was quirky enough that it was nice, and it worked for a while. And then when I met Jen, I was opening for Chelsea Handler, the American comedian, at the Palladium. And Jen emailed me afterwards. Never met her before in my life. Cold call, emails me. She goes, "You dress okay, but I could dress you better."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And I went, "What does that mean? I dress great." And then she came very professional, very prepared to a boozy brunch that we scheduled. And she had this iPad with ideas about how I should look, how I could look, what she thought. And so I think we really developed that together. And I know there are a few female stand-ups who always dressed up, but not many. And I think Jen, through her like curation of style with me, and it has been very collaborative. I think it's come together gradually over the last 10 years, and it's evolved, and it will always be evolving. I think we together have inspired the country, if not the world, of female stand-ups, because they all dress up now.
They do, and it's lovely to see. It really is. Instead of being too masculine and trying to be one of the lads.
Right.
They're proper ladettes.
And it matters.
Yeah.
I heard a woman interviewed on an American podcast by a wonderful comedian called Julie Klausner. She used to just interview rich ladies in Manhattan randomly, like in the park.
Brilliant.
And this woman was like, "You've got to wear a hat. Trust me. You'll get a better table. People will be nice to you. If you're wearing a hat, your life will improve." And she said, "What I like to do is I buy hats. I will buy a hat for $1,000. I'll reimagine it. So like embellish it and decorate it herself. I'll sell it on for $500. So she's losing money in this like venture to make hats, but she just wanted a world where ladies wore hats. And I feel of kinship with this woman because I want a world where female stand-ups dress to reflect their worth. They'll be booked for more corporate engagements. They'll be booked for more hosting engagements. They'll be paid more. They will have a better career if they look like they're worth it. And I think that trickles down to every industry and every woman.
Yeah. How would you describe your style DNA in 3 words?
Poised, glamorous, and risky.
Ooh.
Because I like embellishments. As you aptly noted, I get my tits out once in a while. I like to take a few risks, but ultimately, like, I like to be brought back by some thread of classic elegance.
That's very complete.
Good.
I like that. Would you say you've got a style icon?
Oh, Celine Dion. It has to be Celine Dion.
Now, why?
I think that she takes risks. She became the face of Dior for a while at an advanced age where you might not see that before. I think she's trailblazing that way. She reminds people that women over 50, over 60 are still sexy and adventurous and fun and stylish. And she dresses very youthful sometimes, but she doesn't look like she's doing an impersonation or reaching in any way. She always looks authentic, but I think she is a chameleon and suits all these different genres. And she was working with luxury law for a while, Law Roach, that stylist who does Zendaya. And he said he laid out vêtements stuff for her. And there was one Titanic t-shirt that was a risk, and it was a bit hip hop, and no one had really been wearing that designer yet. And she picked it out and she went, "I'll wear that." And it was ironic that she'd be wearing this almost streetwear Titanic shirt with a pair of jeans and then a costume jewelry Heart of the Ocean necklace. And she had a fabulous bag and amazing heels with it and sunglasses. And she walked out and she was papped, and it transformed that brand. So I think she has that power for brands.
And it's interesting to see how her style has got braver and braver as she's got older, which is not the norm.
No, exactly.
You know, she's gone the other way, which I love.
Yes.
Do you have one item of clothing that means the most to you?
I've saved a few pieces from my life. I have one dress that fits me that belonged to my mother in the 80s. And it's just a white, almost sailor dress with a little blue and pink bird on it and maybe a sailboat. And the cut of it is so classic. And it's still so bright and white. And it's made of this heavy cotton A-line skirt. It's so precious to me. And I kept it and I dry clean it. And it's survived a flood in my last flat. And my mother always proudly says, like, I wore this home from the hospital when I had you. And it's got like a 25-inch waist on it. But that's so my mom. Like, my mom would be corseted daily within an inch of her life, probably. But it sort of just fits me. It's a little bit tight, but I love it. And I really hope that the way I looked after some of my mother's things, I mean, my daughters and son now will have so many treasures if they choose not to burn my wardrobe.
Do you archive things?
I archive them in my home. You know, I haven't stored them or put them anywhere else, but I certainly do. And it happened really quickly that I started to collect quite nice things, but I'm really careful with where and how I keep them. Yeah.
Would you say that you've had a worst fashion moment?
I narrowly avoided a worst fashion moment, and I owe it all to Jen for stopping me from doing this. But I was inspired by bum cleavage. I saw these latex trousers on an American hip hop red carpet, and they were very low rise, purple latex trousers. And then there was a scoop in the bottom, and then you'd get your bum crack out. And I thought, you know, I feel like I always knew that my figure was moments away from betraying me. And I was about 27 at the time, and I looked great. I was really stressed out. I was quite thin, but I always kept the bum, and it's gone now. It's changed shape from like circle to square. It's just like slowly getting smaller and lower. But I would have looked amazing in these trousers, but Jen put a stop to it. She was like, I will not put my name on the line for you to wear these trousers. Absolutely not.
Oh, God.
And that moment is gone. So I think you should jump on fashion opportunities because, you know, you don't ever, I don't think you regret the fashion mistakes as much as you regret the fashion mistakes you very almost made, but avoided. It would have been funny now.
It would have been very funny. Yeah. There'd been a lot of pictures all over the internet. Let's talk about travel for a moment. As a well-known face, are you particularly aware of what your airport look is going to be?
I do think about comfort for the airport without looking like a tramp. I think it's a fine line. I see jumpsuits, cashmere jumpsuits, tracksuits that really look comfy at the airport, but put together, monochrome. I think that if you have a nice white or cream neutral tracksuit, but you've got the right accessories, nice shoes, you don't want to have your toes out at the airport because then you've got your toes out on a plane. I think it's smart to wear your hat in the airport for a sunny holiday and then you don't have to pack it. A nice bag. So we travel with some Louis Vuitton carry-on luggage. And I think
I was going to say, what's your luggage?
I think if I were more organized, I'm about to take the family to Spain for a few days. Wouldn't it be sweet to have all the children in matching airport looks? Because you want them to be comfortable. But there was a horrible time on a plane. It was a short flight, only from Ireland to Edinburgh, to film my latest special, actually, which is very humbling. My son was sick, and he pulled the neckline of my T-shirt down and was sick down my T-shirt, and my T-shirt was tucked into my jeans. And so I just had like a swimming pool of vomit around my crotch for about an hour. And I went, all right. So with small children, style is not number one. Unfortunately, you have to think about the eventualities.
Are you a good packer or a bad packer?
I'm a great packer. I've had to be because, you know, my husband just turns up. He has to pack the passports and very little else.
Right. What's your approach to sustainable fashion?
Well, I do borrow a lot, thankfully. So I'm collecting meaningful pieces now and then, but I think people see me and they assume that I keep everything or that I'm gifted everything. I'm certainly not. I think Jen works really closely with different designers who very generously lend to us. And so I'm sustainable in that way, is that I don't really own that much. And then I have tried some of these by rotation companies where you like hire a dress and we move dresses around, I think. And then I really avoid high street shopping and like fast fashion and just buying too much of everything. I think it's better to have a wardrobe that is curated with like the minimal amount of stuff. You can see everything. These wonderful girls called the Stylist Sisters came to my house and redid my wardrobe for me. And we gave loads to charity. And probably I only kept a third of what I had before and archived other stuff. And I just love the way my wardrobe looks now.
Favorite designers that you would go and buy yourself, when you're maybe not performance clothes or appearance clothes, but...
I like this Brazilian designer now, Pat Bow, it's called. She does a lot of really cool embellished denim. I have vintage things, actually. That's another way I'm sustainable. I have eBay. I have some really cool 90s Dolce & Gabbana shirts that are cool again now.
And do you tend to buy your vintage from eBay?
Yeah, I do. I was like an early user of eBay because I used to sell my Hooters clothes. And then I get messages from guys being like, is this washed? I was like, yes. And they'd be like, oh, well, I don't want it.
I'm less interested.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. But I love eBay now for that. I'm trying to think of my favorite pieces. I liked Dolce & Gabbana for a long time because I could get matching summer dresses for my daughter and for myself. They'll do kids matching the moms, and that is a real good sell for me. I have some Temperley stuff. I do have some Gucci things that I like. Area do some good denim. I have a little bit of self-portrait stuff. Roberto Cavalli jeans that I like. I'm trying to think of sweaters and things. Ray, I get a lot of Ray. I like Loewe.
Yeah, I've seen you in a few Loewe things, and they look very cool on you.
Thank you. Max Mara I like, but I don't have anything Chanel. I have a little bit of Prada stuff, a little bit of Fendi, but I don't do like the big designers that often, I would say.
Let's turn to some quick fire questions. Mm-hmm. What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
To be a lot more sustainable, to invest in statement pieces, and to remember that I'm still going to want to look cool when I'm 40 and 50 and 60. And what I buy now is going to be amazing 30 years from then.
Which fashion trend would you most like to see make a comeback?
All of my formative fashion trends are back. I would consign low rise jeans to Room 101. I just don't think it's flattering on anyone. For a while, stirrup leggings with a baggy sweatshirt was happening, and I don't have those long legs that suits that. I have to have my waist accentuated in some way, or else I just look like a mushroom. I really disliked when all the school-run moms were wearing these real designer trainers, but they looked like astronaut boots somehow. Do you remember the trainers that, like the Balenciaga trainers were too much, and then Louis Vuitton had some and everyone had some, and I never jumped on that trend.
Your last impulse buy?
Well, it was the cardigan that I wore on the way here.
Today?
Yeah, it only cost 30 pounds from Zara, but my shoulders were out, and I thought it's going to be chilly on the way home.
And you didn't know how hot it was going to be.
It's really hot now. But I'm still happy not to have my arms out, Amanda.
Your views on tattoos?
I hate tattoos. Do you have any tattoos?
No.
I'm sorry if you do. Good. No. I'm sorry, listener, if you do. You made a mistake, and there's no easy way for me to tell you this.
And now with my sun-damaged skin, I'm really glad I don't have any. The beauty tweakment that you couldn't give up?
I like Botox, even though I don't get as much as people think.
High end or high street?
High end.
Bling or bear?
Bear.
Minimalism or maximalism?
Ooh, both. I work as a top, but I live as a bottom.
Couture or charity shop?
Couture, if I'm honest. I don't have as much as I deserve, but I like it.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Oh, I think they're cute.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Well, now that I've said Crocs before, I'll have to offset that with stilettos.
Boyfriends or wide legs?
Boyfriends.
Bodycon or boho?
Boho.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Sports luxe.
Red carpet or relax?
Relax.
Trend or style?
Style.
Color or monochrome?
Well, again, I see monochrome and I see people making it work. Like Molly May, I think, just looks so nice. She's all beige and white all the time, but I have to wear color on stage.
Experimental or uniform?
Experimental.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cotton.
Hoarder or editor?
Editor.
Charity shop or resale?
Charity shop.
Shapewear or sexy lingerie?
Shapewear.
Tights or stockings?
Tights.
Bikini or one piece?
Bikini.
Beanie or beret?
Ooh. Beret sounds fun.
And finally, traditional question at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
I would love to say that I sleep naked. I think people are happiest and most well rested when they do so, but I only sleep naked when I've been vomited on by a small child and I can't be bothered to get another outfit. I sleep these days in a full outerwear tracksuit. And my poor husband, I will wear a thick men's tracksuit, knitted socks from my best friend who lives in Finland. I will wear a dressing gown on top of that, sometimes a scarf. Like, I am cold now. I'm old and cold.
You wait. It won't be long before you're very hot. Okay. Well, you are hot anyhow.
That's true. That's true. My husband is probably praying for menopause because, number one, I won't be having more children to drag him down with. And secondly, I'll be naked again.
Kathryn, thank you so much. What fun to go on this style journey with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.